the hits just keep on coming at MSNBC. And I'm not talking about the classic woke hits. I'm not talking about the legendary songs that have been produced at this network over the years. Rachel Maddow's personal favorite, I Kissed a Girl and I Liked It. Or the classic hit by Jen Psaki, Red Riding Hood just blows me away. Red Riding Hood, circle back all night and day. And who can forget the classic hit produced by the unforgettable couple on morning television, Joe and Mika, I Wanna Be Your Lover? No, we're not talking about the musical hits today at MSNBC. We are talking about the massive, massive hit that MSNBC has taken in the ratings since the beginning of October. Over the past 6 or 7 weeks, ratings at Fox News have increased by 42%. CNN has managed to grab the woke shovel, scoop water off the decks of the Titanic to prevent it from sinking further, while increasing their ratings by 17%. Yeah. I couldn't believe it either. For the first time in months, maybe even years. For the first time in a while, CNN posted double-digit increases in their ratings. I guess Katie Roo! I guess Caitlin Collins really is their savior in prime time? And don't worry, Andy Cooper, I'm not forgetting about you. Well, Casey, what about Wolf Blitzer? Woof, woof. Yeah, I actually saw Wolf earlier this afternoon while I was bringing in my trash can after my garbage was collected by my local WNBA dump divers. Wolf was sniffing around my garbage can searching for scraps. Kind of felt bad for him, so I brought him some of my dog's treats. After he scarfed them down, he hiked his leg and pissed on my bushes. But anyway, Fox News ratings, big increase. CNN ratings, modest increase. MSNBC ratings, massive decline. Primetime ratings at MSNBC fallen by 33%. How? What the hell's going on here? Since the beginning of October, how did Fox News and CNN grow their audience while the audience at MSNBC is disappearing faster than a straight man at Club Shay Shay? I wonder if it's got anything to do with their absolutely horrific, vile, biased coverage of the conflict in Israel. How many of you guys have ever heard of Mehdi Hasan? Anybody? That's okay. I hadn't heard of him either. Judging by his ratings, the vast majority of the country never heard of Mehdi Hasan. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name and I could really give a fuck less. Based on the research I did this afternoon, Petey has not earned the right for proper name pronunciation. According to his bio, Mehdi is a British-American broadcaster and author. He released a book this year titled Win Every Argument. No wonder I couldn't find any information about his wife. Men who have been married already know there is no such thing as winning an argument. Based on the title of this book, if I had to guess, the wife of Mehdi Hasan doesn't exist. But I looked for some reviews from the people desperate enough to read this garbage. Supposedly, this book was a New York Times bestseller, so I figured there would be plenty of reviews available. But for some reason, both Walmart and Target only had 6, and they appear to have been written by the AI journalist working at Sports Illustrated. Since 2021, Mehdi Hasan has hosted a weekend show in primetime at MSNBC. Being the creative genius that he is, he decided to name the show The Mehdi Hasan Show. Now, this title, it was confusing to those who grew up with Mehdi. They knew him as Mehdi Raza. Now, I'm not entirely sure when the name transformation took place. Perhaps Mehdi was inspired by the identifier movement here in America and chose to start identifying as Mehdi Hasan. But for the past couple of years, he has been hosting this dump at MSNBC. As a card-carrying member of Woke United Methodist, Mehdi was tasked with spreading polished propaganda. He worked hard for that woke welfare. He was a dedicated parishioner willing to report all the fantasies that were written by the deacons. But unfortunately for Mehdi, his dedication to shit-fuckery, it wasn't enough. MSNBC announced earlier this morning that they were getting out of the garbage business and canceling this dump. Why? Well, according to MSNBC President Rashida Jones, as the 2024 election gets closer, we wanted to give America thoughtful analysis and coverage from three trusted voices that are familiar to our country. Wow, I mean, that's kind of impressive. MSNBC must have hired some heavy hitters. Ratings aside, and just to be clear, ratings for the Mehdi Hasan Show absolutely sucked. But ratings aside, I can understand why Rashida Jones made this decision. If the goal is to provide election analysis from someone people will trust, you can't rely on Petey for that. Vast majority of the country doesn't know who he is. Now, I don't know too much about Rashida Jones, but if I remember correctly, she's the same woman that made the decision to fire Tiffany Cross, better known here on the channel as Tiffer the Bongo Sniffer, which means Rashida Jones is already on my good side. Earlier this morning, MSNBC, they announced the trio of heavy hitters, the trio of familiar faces that will replace Mehdi Hasan. Alicia Menendez, Simone Sanders Townsend, Michael Steele. Who? Who and who? I thought you were hiring familiar faces. I had to look up these so-called familiar faces. I'd never heard of these people. Alicia Menendez looks like the former cashier at Five Star Frank's. Five Star Frank's, serving the grilled wiener 5 days a week. Simone Sanders reminds me of... Simone reminds me of someone who would kick my ass in a bar fight. Who in the hell are these people? I know Mehdi Hasan couldn't attract flies to a fresh turd, but this is your dream team? This is the trio of huge embarrassing failures that MSNBC is hoping will save their ratings during the weekend? When I first saw this announcement, I knew there had to be more to the story. MSNBC wasn't firing Mehdi Hasan. Well, Casey, he didn't get fired. They just canceled his show. He's still going to make sporadic appearances on the network. Yeah, sure. They said the same thing about Glenn Beck when he left Fox News. He didn't appear on the network for years. This is MSNBC politely saying that this dude is a lunatic and we don't want him on our network. Now, some are reporting that this was strictly a ratings decision. Before the conflict in Israel, Mehdi Hasan drew 617,000 viewers. During the third quarter of the year, the show averaged 535,000. But since the war started in early October, his ratings have completely tanked. He has not come close to drawing 500,000 viewers, not once. Last week, Petey drew 13,000 viewers in the key 18 to 49 demo. This dude drew 13,000 viewers on MSNBC. They could air a legless St. Bernard trying to chase its tail and draw more than 13,000 viewers. The question is, why? What did Mehdi Hasan do to turn away over 100,000 people? Well, it started with his anti-Israel views, which turned into pro-Palestinian views, with some people thinking that he was openly supporting Hamas. Mehdi Hasan pushed the narrative that the Israelis were responsible for the deadly attack on a civilian hospital in Gaza. He also suggested that Israel invading Gaza was similar to Russia invading Ukraine. What? Correct me if I'm wrong, and I'll admit, I don't know too much about international politics. When the war in Ukraine started, we were in the middle of Mardi Gras season here, so I wasn't really paying much attention to the news. So I could be wrong, but I don't remember Ukraine attacking Russia. Do you? I don't remember Ukraine flying into Russia and taking dozens of hostages. Matter of fact, I don't remember Ukraine attacking Russia, period. So I'm struggling to understand how Mehdi Hasan thinks that Israel retaliating against Hamas is the same as Vlad Putin's unprovoked attack on Ukraine. Now, this is just speculation on my part, but I think this clip I'm about to share with you, I think this is what finally pushed MSNBC to cancel this garbage. A couple of weeks ago, Mehdi Hasan, he invited an advisor to Benjamin Netanyahu onto his show. Now, I'm not sure why he invited him since he clearly doesn't like Israel and he constantly interrupted him every time he tried to make a point. The segment was a complete disaster. It was an embarrassment for MSNBC. The network was destroyed by the media over the unprofessional behavior of Mehdi Hasan. Watch for yourself.
But I have seen lots of children with my own lying eyes being pulled from the rubble.
Because they're the pictures Hamas wants you to see. Exactly my point, Mehdi. They're the pictures Hamas wants.
But they're also people that your government has killed. You accept that, right? You've killed children, or do you deny that?
No, I do not. I do not. I do not. First of all, you don't know how those people died, those children.
Oh, wow.
I disagree, and I think on the important issues, look, I'll give you an example, Mehdi. Originally, we estimated. No, I'm answering your question. Allow me to answer your question. I'm answering your question directly, if you'll allow me. When we make a mistake, we admit it.
Short on time.
Why does that give you permission? Why does that give you permission to accept Hamas's numbers? I don't understand.
I didn't ask about Hamas numbers. I said to you that your military spokesman...
No, but you were quoting to me before Hamas numbers, Mehdi. You were quoting to me Hamas's numbers.
Because the entire UN and the human rights community and the American intelligence community on Friday said they trust those numbers. But you're dodging my question, Mark.
I have a question, Mehdi. You're a journalist. Have you made a professional mistake ever? Not intentionally, but have you made a professional mistake?
Exactly, and I own up to it.
Have you made a mistake? So can
you own up to the mistake?
So if I've made mistakes, you've made mistakes. But there's a difference between making an honest mistake and between Hamas that deliberately exaggerates numbers to suit its propaganda purposes. There's a huge difference.
So it sounds like
it's like
hold on. You said propaganda. Can we just deal with your colleague Ophir Gendelman's tweet? It's still up 7 days later. Why has it not come down? It's a Lebanese short film. We can put it on screen. It's not Palestinians faking their own injuries. Can we own up to that mistake and take that down?
This dude couldn't be more anti-Israel if he conducted that interview draped in the Palestinian flag. I know it seems, keyword seems, I know it seems that the majority of the country is supportive of Palestine and not supportive of Israel, but that cannot be further from the truth. Americans have always supported Israel, and it took a massive decline in ratings for MSNBC to come to that realization. New York Post. The New York Post spoke with a staffer at MSNBC. They asked why the network was giving Mehdi Hasan a deserved boot in the ass. Now, obviously, ratings played a part in his dismissal, but falling ratings, they were the symptom to the real problem. According to this staffer, executives at MSNBC, they felt that Mehdi Hasan's mentality when it came to Israel was too far out of the mainstream. Translation? He's a radical. His views on Israel aren't resonating with the MSNBC audience. Now keep in mind, this audience, it consists of parishioners of Woke United Methodist. There aren't too many normal people watching this network. Basically, what MSNBC is saying here, Mehdi Hasan is too radical even for the shit fucks. This dude is on the wrong career trajectory. This isn't how it usually works. Normally, a cable news host parlays a spot on the weekend to a better time slot during the week. For example, look at the career trajectory of Little Red Riding Hood. She started her career as a professional liar, working as the White House press secretary for John Biden. This is where she coined the phrase, circle back. MSNBC noticed her unique skill set and gave Jen Psaki a show on the weekends. After several months of polishing the propaganda turd, she was promoted to primetime on Monday nights. That is a typical trajectory. And then you've got Mehdi Hasan. He's going backwards. He went from having his own show to being demoted to a sporadic contributor. In other words, MSNBC told Mehdi Hasan, get off my TV. But that's okay. That's okay. I've got some good news for Mehdi. I know a way that he can get back on television. We've got the first annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards coming up. If he receives enough nominations, maybe he will be in the running to take the crown of Huge Embarrassing Failure from Bomani Jones. But give me your thoughts. I'll be honest with you. I was pleasantly surprised at this news earlier this morning. Mehdi Hasan seems to be anti-Israel and he gets fired from MSNBC. Why do you think he was fired, though? Was it his rapidly declining ratings? Did MSNBC just want to go in a different direction? Was it his stance on Israel? Or was it a combination of all those? You let me know. Sound off in the comments below. Like, subscribe, share the video. I appreciate your support. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys tomorrow.